Monday, July 25th, live from Bleecker Trading in New York City. Join the Bleecker Trading team with the Card Ladder crew for the first annual pre-national party. An industry mixer and trade night hosted by Card Ladder. Monday before National, the first annual industry mixer and trade night. Be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's up, Josh?
What's up?
How's it going?
Well, remember how there was that week or two on Instagram when if I clicked up here, it would show me the whole chat? That's gone now.
No, that's terrible.
I can only see one comment at a time.
Oh,
But, you know,
that's you might as well not be able to see any at all.
it's not ideal. I think maybe I need to uninstall the app or something. I've always had little issues like that with Instagram where I have to uninstall, but we carry on.
Yeah, it ain't the same if you can't see the chat.
If anyone in the chat has any ideas, let me know. One at a time. It's not one total. I can still see the comments, guys.
All right.
Chris for influencer of the year. Oh, I got it to 3.
Shush. Don't ignore that. Please ignore it.
See? Proof I can read the comments. I can find the ones you don't want to hear.
Don't say that. Okay. A group is trying to troll me. So do not give airtime to that concept.
Oh, is this a Clubhouse thing?
Yes. It's very horrible. All right. Welcome to the crossover. Today is Friday, July 8th. And do you have any mail days that you'd like to?
Jordan posted a URL to a Survey Monkey. I already know what it is. I don't even need that.
You have a mail day. I know you do.
I do have a mail day. Do you?
No.
This is the card I paid $300 for.
Chris, we'll do a quick Christina mail day. This is the Maxi Kleber that she referenced last week that had a slightly different serial number. Oh, number 8 of 10 that she paid $3 more for. So was that like a 200% markup?
Pretty much.
All right. Let's see that mail day.
Now, I was influenced to get these cards. I won't say by who, but I can't think for myself, so I have to listen to my companions. All right. First is a PSA reslab, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because everyone's just going to ask, why did it go from a 9 to a 6? I still think it looks great. All that matters is the, card, blah, blah, blah. But
It looks amazing in the PSA slab.
Thanks. Sounds like something an influencer would say. All right. I promise I'm done. The other was PSA 10, 2004, second year Topps Chrome Gold Refractor at 99. I can't focus tonight.
Yeah, that's. Dude, I think this episode is going to go off the rails real quick.
I think it already has.
Which is
That's
unfortunate because this is a big card.
That's absolutely amazing. That PSA 10 LeBron, second year, Topps Gold, Topps Chrome Gold rookie, just ridiculous.
Thank you, sir. You don't have any mail days?
I have none. No, I have no mail days.
Saving that money.
I guess so. I don't know. Nothing's come up that I've wanted to move on.
Aren't there a limit to how many, one-of-one Christian McCaffreys that exist?
Yeah. I think I bought them all now.
Is It's got to be like getting harder to get them, right? Like the fewer that remain that you don't already have.
Dude, it is kind of funny. Like the supply of them is way down. There was so many about a year and a half ago, and now they very rarely show up. I literally think I have a lot of the ones that were ever going to make their way to eBay. All right. Now on to news and updates. The first one that I want to talk about is the Bleecker event that we're doing with Zablo and everybody at Bleecker, Jacob, Jess, the whole team. And Stiff Arm Wax made an amazing promo video for this that's caught a lot of eyes. So here's the little promo video. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it, obviously, so we don't just but like, look.
Okay, play the whole thing. Play the whole thing.
All right. I'll play. Let me see if I can get the volume going too.
National Party, an industry mixer and trade night hosted by Card Ladder. Monday before National, the first annual industry mixer and trade night. Be there.
There you go. So, and there's the details. Monday, July 25th. That's the Monday before the National, 7 to 10 p.m. at Bleecker Trading, which is located at 96 Christopher Street, which is in Manhattan.
There will be food. There will be drinks. There will be dessert. And there will be cards.
There will be food, drinks, dessert, and cards.
And then the next morning when you wake up, you head back to Bleecker and you take a bus down to Atlantic City. And look, you're at the National.
Yeah, and Bleecker's providing buses. Free bus transport to the National in Atlantic City from Bleecker. I don't know, maybe I just said something wrong.
I don't know if it's free.
Oh, it may not be free. Sorry. Don't want to overpromise and underdeliver here, but it's too late. All right. And then custom indexes, Josh. Tell us about custom indexes.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly last week, I think, but we officially launched it this week. Custom indexes. You can now go to the indexes page, and there's this new little icon here. You click on this guy. Gives you two options to create a custom index totally for yourself on your own. You can make content with it, which I'm hoping is kind of going to become the new thing. We've seen a little bit of that already, which is neat.
Yes, we have. There's
two ways to do it. There's my way and there's the Chris way. We both sort of like completely came up with different solutions for this, and we can probably let's just do them both. The my way is you actually define through filters similar to the ladder, you define a subset of cards that would comprise the index. Because the goal really of the index is which cards are in the index, right? And then we'll do all the work to show you the performance and the historical values and such. So here you could set the category of the index, the condition, the player, the value, the year, the pop, and you can do any combination of these and it will work. It's actually pretty sweet. I think this is going to be a really fun feature for people. The other way is you can just literally search our ladder and pick whatever cards you want, up to 100 cards. And this one will be neat for, like the example I gave was all the 2012 Prism Silver LeBrons in PSA 10 as an index. Because if you want to get real specific where you can't just create it or you only want certain parts of the the index, you can do it that way as well. Oops. That's pretty much it on that. Oops. Having all kinds of problems. There we go. Anything else to add on custom indexes?
I just think that it's a great feature. I think you did a fucking amazing job building it. And I love the fact that, hey, people asked for it. It was not an easy implementation. But here we are, and we rolled out and we did it. And I think it's a really powerful tool for people who want to use data to tell their own experience and story in the hobby, or to do analytical tasks. I mean, there's so many different applications to this. And you know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to make two indexes, two custom indexes. I'm going to try to make the index that has the highest price appreciation ever. So I'm going to try and I'm going to truly.
You're going to hand pick the cards, you monster.
I'm going to truly cherry pick the index, and then I'm going to try and make the worst index of all time.
What are you thinking? Like, talk me through like Steph Curry index versus the like.
Well, I was gonna cheat because I was like, do we have a filter on the ladder that's like highest percentage change all time. Because we have, you can sort by percentage change over a year and over shorter intervals. I was like, damn, we don't have the all time, so I'm gonna actually have to dig into this. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out a way that I can do that.
But like, what does your intuition tell you? Like, name players and sets and cards, because I think that's kind of interesting content in itself.
Yeah, well, the difficult part about this is that you can't build an index with a card that hasn't sold at least twice in the last year and once in the last 6 months. So that makes it a lot trickier, you know, because you need to have stuff that's sold a little bit, or else it doesn't qualify for a card ladder index. So, yeah, I guess Curry. You know, if I want to, what's tricky too is like if you did Curry, you're going to see a little bit of a correction over the last 3 to 4 months. Whereas you could pick like, you know, a Mantle or something, or like a Hoyt Willem, and that's going to do nothing but go up and to the right. But the percentage, you know, the Mantle or the Willem might be up 8 or 10x all time, whereas the Curry's up like a bazillion x, even though it's not a perfectly up and to the right line. I don't know. We'll see. So,
What I mean, like Prism, 2012 Prism, you could probably just index and just, and it also depends. Are you thinking all time performance, or if you want to focus on trying to make the best for the last year, it might be different.
Yeah, it would be very different. I want to do all time. Okay.
That one would be like 2012 Prism, dude. I don't know if you remember, but those cards used to be worthless.
Oh, yeah, yes, they did. Julian, the Hoyt Willem was inspired by you. Okay. Card Shop Dad would like to know, is there an ETA on custom indexes for the app? So it's only available on desktop and mobile browser right now. What about on the app?
You can actually view the custom indexes from the app. You just can't create them yet. I don't know if I made that apparent, but you can create them from the desktop and they will actually show up on the mobile app. So there's that. Yeah, I just wanted to launch it and see how it goes first. The other part is that you can only create one at a time. I didn't want it to kind of get away from us and have issues, and so it's kind of in like a beta. We're not big on like beta stuff, so it is live, but right now you can only have one, and I'm just kind of monitoring it, seeing how it goes, seeing where people take it, and then we'll kind of scale up from there. And I'll add it to the mobile app, you know, eventually.
Got it. And Cold Holds says he has no question, but congrats on cracking the 30,000 cards in the card letter database. Thank you, Cold Holds, and thank you to the card letter research team.
I didn't even realize we did that.
Who have contributed to that. Yeah, I mean,
Yay, team.
That's millions and millions of sales and all-time sales histories that have been built over the last 2 years. Okay. 90s B-Ball card says, what evening events are you most looking forward to at the National?
Christina, help us.
Well,
Christina's the only
Monday
one who knows what events there are.
Exactly.
pull up my scheduler. Monday night, the pre-national party at Bleecker, obviously. Wednesday night, we have the national kickoff party.
That should be a great event.
That should be a great event. That's with Collectible and Beckett and Card Ladder sponsoring, along with My Slabs and a bunch of others.
I think technically we're presenting.
Oh, we're presenting sponsors, or I don't know what it is. Okay, yeah, but we're partnered on that. Obviously Thursday night, Jimmy and Ryan's trade night, and then Slab Stocks has their charity event auction, which will happen on Thursday at trade night. So for Camp Kesem. So that's awesome.
Oh man, I've gotten 2 corrections in on Christina. We're off to a rip-roaring start tonight. I mean, those are 2 great events right there. The Wednesday night one, and then the Thursday night trade night. Honestly, that's probably going to be the most enjoyment across the most people.
Yeah.
It's like national, like 2. It's like this, you know, it's so big.
It's like, did you even go to national if you didn't go to their trade night?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. David Marino. Oh, and yeah, as Card Porn points out, don't forget the secret Women in the Hobby box break. I just saw the word secret. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. There's going to be some awesome Women in the Hobby events that Card Porn has been instrumental in helping organize, which is an amazing thing that they're doing. So those events should be awesome as well. But you know what the best night, and David Marino can back me up on this, Josh can back me up on this, David Owens can back me up on this. Christina can back me up on this. The best event is going to be at a craps table at 1:30 in the morning, playing the field, calling shots, and taking home stacks of chips and cashing out immediately. Do you agree? That's probably going to be the best event.
We do have craps at the casino. At the casino that we're staying at, so we'll be good.
That's great. All right. Spurs Cards 21 says, why do people get so butthurt when you say, not you, but when somebody says Nationals, plural? South Park Cards would like to know the answer to this as well.
It's mostly a joke. It doesn't actually bother me that much.
Really? That's disappointing.
Does it bother you?
No, but I just liked that it bothered you.
Oh, I mean, I really like to just pick on South, so it's the easy material because he just forgets every time. Or now he's probably doing it on purpose.
Okay, all right. We have some questions about PSA. So Card Shop Dad says PSA's $18 national grading event. Oh, by the way, Card Shop Dad, definitely MVP of the question asking tonight. So he wants to know, what are the pros and the cons? So first of all, Josh, do you have some details on PSA's $18 national grading event?
Yeah, let me pull up the post, but they basically brought back a newer service level at $18, and it's not just going to be for people going to the national. It's completely open, right?
You have to be a Collectors Club member, though. That's a big note here, is that you must be a Collectors Club member. It's only $99 a month, and some of the stuff you get, a year, and some of the stuff that you get exposure to, like these types of deals, make it totally worth it to be a Collectors Club member.
So the $18 thing is only through July 31st. So it's through the national, but you don't have to be at the national to do it.
Yeah, that's huge, dude. $18 a month. That's what I was paying through my group submitter a year and a half, 2 years ago. You know, I mean, we're like, this is back to like epic level. Yep, Julian says he just submitted 288 cards.
Wow. Do you think this might be, like, if you had to bet, this being the thing that kind of reinvigorates the hobby a bit? I don't want to make it to where, the market going up is the indicator of, where the fun in the hobby is at. But do you think that might be one of the things that kind of sparks things up a bit?
Yeah. Well, let's use that thought to go into the next question from Upstate Sports Cards. He says, so PSA is opening up $18 pricing. Is this a bad thing for the hobby because we are now in a junk slab era? And so my reply to that, and I get where he's coming from, right? This is just going to produce probably millions more slabs, but I think, dude, don't you miss grading? Don't you miss buying raw cards and like looking them over, wiping them down with your microfiber cloth, stuffing them in the in the penny sleeve and then in the card saver and then sending them off? Like, I miss that. That's fun. The excitement of getting your grades back is fun. Grading being available at $18 per card makes it accessible to just about anybody. I think grading should be available to anybody. I think it's just a fun part of the hobby. So I think the pros outweigh the cons here. I'm so glad. I was concerned at one point in time that we might never see PSA grading at this cheap of a price again, and now here we are.
Yeah, and I think maybe the sentiment of that was that this is going to cause another backlog where they're going to, struggle to keep up, and we'll kind of be back into the same issue we had before. But the difference is they've been preparing for this for months, over a year now, basically, since the last shutdown. And so they're far more prepared. They've hired a lot more people. This is something they've been planning for a while, so they're ready to go for this. I would be much less worried on that front than I would be otherwise. I think that'll be fine. And I'm not seeing any negatives. This is great. More people are going to be grading cards, more cards into circulation, more selling, more eBay, more money in people's pockets, hopefully, from flipping the cards to buy other cards. Like, this is like the lifeblood of the hobby for a lot of people. So I think this is going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm struggling to see much of a downside as well. Although I do acknowledge people's concerns about there being so many slabs and cards getting populations in the tens of thousands. That is a real thing. But anyway, okay. One last question on PSA. 515 Sports Card says, recently I acquired a 2005 Aaron Rodgers Bowman autograph card as a PSA 8 but the label on the slab incorrectly states that it's a 2005 Bowman base card. So I'm concerned about this because it's inaccurate for the population report. So is the next best step for me to re-slab this card with PSA? I've never been in this situation before, and as a longtime collector, I'm still fairly new to grading.
So they have a service where they'll fix it for you for free. So let me see if I can find that. It's going to take me a second, but I've done it. I had one where they had the wrong year. I had a 2007 Topps Chrome X Fractor LeBron, and it said 2008.
Okay.
And the case was all like scuffed and scratched up, and so I wanted it, and it was like the old style flip. And I sent it in. They fixed the year. You like tell them what's wrong with it. It goes through sort of like a customer service kind of portal. It's like a little bit different, but reholder. I think it might be. I can't remember if it's reholder or if it's. I feel like you have to go through like your account and like customer service. I'll find it. Go to the next question while I'll look for it.
Got it. All right. Well, the next question comes from the great Brett McGrath.
Customer Request Center. Sorry.
CRC, Customer Request Center.
Your account page on the left. There's a link that says Customer Request Center, and there's a label correction request, and you just basically fill out your cert, what's wrong with it, you upload a file, the value, and they'll fix it for you.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. All right, so the next question up here is from Brett of Stacking Slabs. He says, if you could own the entire print run of one player in your PC, what would it be and why? And then he gives the example of owning all the Peyton Manning Topps Finest Golds. So that's what he's thinking. Like, you could own the whole run, not like every copy of every card, but like in the entire run, but like, you know, own every Finest Gold Peyton that's ever made. That's like something he's trying to do. And I'll go first. This is so easy for me. I'd love to own every Prism Black Finite Christian McCaffrey. And I'm only one away. I'm one away. So, yes, I do love that. There's something really nice about that. And if the player's still active or cards that player are still coming out, there's that little anxiety that gets the blood flowing about, like, will this card be found from this new product, and will I be able to get to it before somebody else does?
Nice. I don't think anyone's shocked by that one. My easy one is like the Topps Chrome Gold LeBron run, but I'm going to go a different route and say the LeBron number pieces run. So the exquisite number pieces, they're all numbered to 23, and the rookie was one I've always wanted. I have one of them so far. It would just be like a chase that I would have to kind of almost start over, and it would be a fun thing to start, because the Topps Chrome Gold, I only need like 2 more, and I've done it before.
And on the flip side, there's something satisfying about like the number pieces run, because it's done and there won't be any more. So like you can get them, and then you can feel a sense of satisfaction at having truly completed the task.
Yeah, you're gonna have to keep it. Someone in the chat said that the Jokic Black was pulled out of the Prism.
Black Shimmer, yeah.
Okay, never mind.
All
You're not
right.
a Shimmer guy.
Oh, I'm okay with shimmers, I guess. We have a question about those later, actually. Okay, Adam Lefko says, where does Contenders Cracked Ice rank in the pantheon of important NFL cards? Yep, so this is a softball. Serve it up to Josh.
This is my favorite. I can't tell. I thought it was like a big deal, but sometimes I feel like people don't agree. I think it's second to the National Treasures.
Okay.
Now, it's probably third. Prism Gold is second. So I'll say National Treasures 99, Prism Gold 10, Cracked Ice third.
In other words, very high.
Yeah.
And then historically, the Cracked Ice predates the Prism Gold and National. Well, does it predate National Treasures?
It does not it's different in football. I think National Treasures was like, it used to be called something else. It wasn't National Treasures. Like the Julio Jones 2011, it's called, I don't even think it's called. That was like not even Panini or something. It was weird.
Yeah, there's National Treasures cards from the late 2000s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's like, obviously there's basketball. I'm just trying to remember how football worked. It's a little bit different. Yeah, I guess it was called National Treasures. But it was called like Playoff National Treasures. It was just different. Like the branding is a little bit different. But yeah, Well, what's your top three?
I don't know. I'm still not at ease in football the way I would be answering this question in basketball.
It's just the contenders is so big in football because of the Brady and the Manning. So like,
which is a great reason for it to be iconic in football. It's the most important card.
The introduction of the cracked dice being like low numbered has been really successful. Similar to how the Prism Gold being such a low number for rookie cards, it's been a really great addition to the football collecting. And so to have the cracked dice being a low number, having the lineage of contenders, it's pretty rare. I think that they look nice. So
yeah, great. Okay. Adam Lefko has another question for us about football. People are starting to get into the football mode. This question actually came up on, before we get to Adam's question, there was a great discussion on Clubhouse the other night about who's like a good sneaky quarterback to pick up some cards of this summer going into the season. And we just were kind of like looking at the quarterbacks and we're like, man, Burrow is so high. Herbert is so high. Allen is so high. Mahomes is so high. Brady is so high. Like the top 5 most appealing quarterbacks to collect are so high. And so everyone was just, we started looking at different teams and stuff. Like, do you have an opinion on who might be a fun, super cheap quarterback to pick up some cards of this summer on the hope that they break out this year?
Super cheap?
Yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't have to be super cheap. I shouldn't have said that.
I've got some names. Yeah, I've got some names. Here's one. Matthew Stafford, the defending winning quarterback of the Super Bowl, still cheap compared to those guys you just named.
Loaded up with another monster wide receiver, Allen Robinson.
The team is and they added like Bobby Wagner. That team is loaded, man. Here's one. Russell Wilson going to a new team. Tough division, but he's got good receiver talent, good team around him, good defense. I think Russell Wilson should have a good year.
Mm-hmm.
People have been, saying all these young players are going to do X, Y, Z. Russell Wilson has a Super Bowl. Like, he was that guy. He just, he's just a little bit older, I guess. Aaron Rodgers, still think he's pretty cheap compared to those guys. Looking through the list. Do you have any others that I missed?
No, I like those. I'll shill a moment for my guy Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, yep.
Dude, the Ravens are always going to be a threat. I would never want to have to face them in a playoff situation. So I always like his upside as one of these years being his year.
They have the worst injuries. They had the most injuries in the NFL last year. Remember they had like 4 running backs hurt before the season started.
Yeah. It was rough. Lamar kept having setbacks too and having to take a dump halfway through a game and stuff.
Well, he had to carry the load. I got 2 more. I'm optimistic about Kyler Murray. Still young. His value's taken a hit, a lot, rightfully so. But Kyler Murray's another one. Another one is Matt Ryan.
Ooh, yeah.
Matt Ryan's one of the all-time great quarterbacks, and he's switched over to a very good roster, much better than the Falcons. So Matt Ryan might see some success this year. What do you think about Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I love Matt Ryan. MVP already solidified. Great quarterback. And he's in a great situation. And it really felt like the thing that the Colts were missing last year was a veteran quarterback who could get them through that final stretch. They didn't make the playoffs last year. It's so ridiculous. They were such a stout team to not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, Carson Wentz was pretty bad last year.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good names. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Adam's question is, 2 years ago, we saw a dip in quarterback prices after the Super Bowl. Then, that would have been after the Brady Mahomes Super Bowl. And then a rise in August, then a plummeting. Is that word? A plummeting. Once the season started. And then he says, okay, well, what was the flow last year? And what has the flow been like this year so far? Okay, so I didn't have a chance to make a custom quarterback index, although anybody could do that now to really look at this question. But if you pull up the football index, which again, this isn't only quarterbacks and this is 3,600 cards, but if you pull up the football index, all right, so this is May of 2021, and it was the football index was flat for the whole summer. Once the season starts, it actually jumped up quite a bit. all the way through the Super Bowl. The index did quite well. It peaked in March of 2022, and now it has corrected all the way back to October of 2021 levels. So that's how the football market has done. Intuitively, what do you, I'm worried about the quarterback market. I think there's like 6 quarterbacks who people think are going to win this year, and only one can.
Right.
What do you think?
I think people are paying Tom Brady, the next Tom Brady prices for 6 guys, like you just said. And there's only going to be there's going to be none of them. Like, none of them are going to win 6 rings, 7 rings, whatever he has. No one's going to win that many. It's tough. I would be nervous about the quarterbacks prices as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Slab Sanity says, this question likely has been asked before, but since there's been all this talk about triple logo mans, and by the way, Golden has perhaps the best triple logo man to ever hit the auction block coming soon, what would be each of your dream logo mans? Any players, any sports? I don't have a clever answer for this.
Just pick your 3 PC guys.
We'll just maybe a cool triple would be my favorite 90s players, like maybe a dual logo man of Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon to represent 8 straight titles, the finals MVPs of 8 straight titles.
Yeah, man, those guys locked it down there, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. And those are my favorite players from that era. So I wouldn't mind that. There's a cool theme. That card probably exists. I don't know.
The world in which Christian McCaffrey, Jokic, Luka, and Jordan being on it seems a little bit ridiculous. Like, one of them would be a shield. And how would you even fit the shield with the 3 logos? It's like the logo man and triple works because they're vertical, right? But the shield is kind of more square.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think we're gonna be able to get that one anytime soon. So I guess I'll go with LeBron, Chris Paul, Penny Hardaway. I would buy that card.
That would be a card made just for you.
That would be expensive and very weird.
All right. Awkward High Five says, with so much hype and interest surrounding triple logo man cards, I was wondering what kind of chase card would you like to see created for the future? Maybe an autograph added to the triple logo man. Maybe they make a LeBron quad logo man with a high school jersey. For me, the LeBron father-son dual autograph will be one to look forward to. Thank you for all. Okay, yeah. So what would be a chase card that you would make? I guess that's pretty. Maybe it's the same answer.
Well, I feel like the reason that it was such a chase card is because it was a brand new thing, having one player with 3 logo men from 3 different. It was a very unique new idea that had never been done before. So you're basically asking us to come up with a new, innovative idea on the spot. And if I had something, I would not be giving it out to you people. I would be selling it to Panini.
Yeah. If I could go into a time machine and go back and have certain cards get created so that they're rookie cards of certain players, I would do that.
I mean, like a Brady dual shield of the Patriots. You might as well steal the idea and do Patriots, Bucks, 2 Super Bowl years or something like that.
Yeah. Dual cards, I never liked them a bunch because you're relying, you're twice as, especially if it's young players, you're twice as exposed. If either one of those players doesn't pan out, then now you've got a card that you'll need to cut in half and keep the good one. So that's tongue in cheek. Obviously, the card will suffer, and then if both players turn out great, you might as well have just bought solo card. I don't know. I'm not huge on the duels or the triples.
There's a dual logo man auto of Jalen Brunson and Trae Young, which it kind of worked out, but at the time it's what's the path that this takes here? They're different players on different teams. It's just a very awkward situation. To your point, Brunson's on the Knicks now. Maybe you're a Trae Young fan, but you if you want to collect Trae Young, you also have to buy a Jalen Brunson. It's just a very neat thing. That's why this triple LeBron works so well. It's like, yeah, it's 3 of the same player.
3 of the same guy. Yeah, that's such a good point. That is one of the reasons why that works. Ryan Fitzpatrick's 16 team shield booklet.
He also said Joey Chestnut mustard stained logo man.
Did you see Joey Chestnut valiantly defend him and his fellow competitors against that
The Darth Vader guy.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, it's like I wish there was a little bit more competition to that hot dog contest. I tried watching it and like he's winning by like 20 hot dogs.
Can nobody really even get close to this guy? Like, how is that?
It seems like people are just giving up. They're not even like training anymore. There was the guy who beat him.
Okay,
The guy.
but yeah, like this was you made me listen to this last night.
This was a bit on the Bill Simmons
This
podcast?
was the exact bit on the Bill Simmons podcast.
Oh, well,
I listened to it this morning.
I fell asleep. I didn't. It went into my brain.
Yeah, osmosis to you and Josh. Yeah, I know Josh listened to it as well.
The best part was they were like, why do they let them dunk the hot dogs in the water? No one eats like that for real. So like they should have to eat it like real people eat hot dogs, which is like, like a hot dog and bun and take a bite.
And the hot dog isn't like, what about enjoying the taste of the hot dog? That's completely ruined by dunk. I mean, shouldn't these guys get a little bit of pleasure out of the hot dog? But you get none. I mean, why even have it as hot dogs anymore? Why not just who can fit the most garbage into their mouth over?
Yeah, he said, why not just blend up 50 hot dogs and just chug the milkshake? Yeah, it's disgusting. It's almost unwatchable. The guy. So okay, I was gonna say the guy who beat him. His name is Matt Stoney. He's a younger kid. He actually doesn't compete anymore or on that one at least, because he is like a super famous YouTuber. He has like 5 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million subscribers, and all he does is eat crazy food challenges. So he's like the only person to have beaten him in this long run. There's like 1 year where he loses to this kid, and now he's a famous YouTuber.
Wow, very, very impressive.
You did say rude.
Because Chestnut choked him out after he won, and he was just like, "That's too much for me. I'm gonna just stick to YouTube."
You did say ruined.
Ruined?
Yeah, you were like, the food is ruined.
It is ruined.
Yeah. It's so annoying when he says things like that.
What's wrong with that?
Ruined.
Ruined.
What's that one word that you really screwed up a while back? I can't remember it now. Like you said it so wrong. Someone in the chat help us. He said what was that word?
Yeah, I remember. I put the emphasis on a different syllable. I don't remember what the word was. All right. Frozen Inferno Collectibles says, do you think plain days autographs of GOATs should be worth a premium, or is it an autograph is an autograph, so it shouldn't really matter?
We might be the only ones to agree with this comment, in the general hobby world. Because I think you should put way more emphasis on the playing years. Cards, not just the autos, the cards. Like the second that they retire, their card should go down. Linear. You got it.
Linear.
You said like linear.
Linear. I think either one's acceptable.
I don't think so.
Yes, it is.
Linear. It was like, on the graph, because we have like logarithmic and linear. I almost said linear. And you're like, switch it to linear.
Yeah, like it's like LINYEAR.
I think either one's acceptable. Not gonna. No. Okay. All right. Well, here's the thing. If we as collectors limit our scope of collecting to like certain things, then we take back some of the power that prevent us, that prevent the manufacturers from like overproducing stuff. So if we say like we're going to put a premium on rookie cards and first appearance cards, and then we're going to limit the scope of our collecting to playing years cards, like that eliminates the fear that after a player retires, their cards can just be printed into oblivion. So
is this a similar discussion to the like game used patches? Like if we stop buying player worn, then hopefully they put more emphasis on it during the printing phases.
Yes, I think that's right. Speaking with the wallets, but this is why limiting to playing years stuff is, there's utility to it. It's not just like strictly a random choice. It's not random. It's not arbitrary. There's a good reason for why people limit the scope of their collecting to something meaningful like playing years. And then if it's limited to playing years, then you're collecting cards that contemporaneously documented that athlete's performance. And
you've been pretty serious about this in terms of Michael Jordan, because
oh yeah,
a lot of people collect exquisite Jordan. You're just like a total no-go.
No, yeah. I mean, and that fits perfectly for me because I'm not huge on patch autograph cards either. So that's always worked out nicely. Okay.
But if there was exquisite playing years, Jordan, hypothetically,
yeah, I would have to take that really seriously. So this question comes in. I really dislike cards of retired players. It seems like Panini is putting, and this is from mostly 90s basketball cards, it seems like Panini is putting more and more retired players in new releases to the point of what we were just talking about. One Panini insert set that I like this year has a checklist where 11 of the 20 players are retired. It totally eliminates any desire to collect. So I don't know if I have a question, but do you guys think if I write a strongly worded letter to Panini, they will stop?
No.
Do you remember the Horace Grant thing?
No.
That's unfortunate. You must not have been a big blowout guy.
What's the horse?
There was like a blowout thread back in the day of like 20 cards that would reuse the same Horace Grant photo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I was just when I hear this question, I thought of that because it's like when you use retired players, it just kind of like gets a little stale in the photography you use. That's like the reason we have these cards, and the reason they were initially created was to like document the active rosters. Like you've got your sets, you've got one card for each player in the set. You put together the sets, you can collect all the players in the league, right? And so when you get to this retired thing, you're just kind of like going outside the norms of sports cards, and I agree, I don't like it either.
Yeah, but they add a lot of value to the boxes, and they sell quite well. So there's like the 2012 Prism Golds have been selling a lot lately, and the retired players in that product sell very well. So
like a Will Chamberlain 2012 Gold Prism, it's cool, it's neat. I just don't want to see it overdone.
Right.
I think that's what the question is, right? Stop overdoing it.
Well, and like when you get black and white photos, like on chromium shiny cards, like that's really when I start to just.
Is George Mikan in any of these?
Yeah.
Bob Cousy?
Yeah, George Mikan has a 2012 Prism Gold.
Does he really? Oh my god, I didn't know that.
This same photo has been used on several cards as well for Mikan.
Can you do me a favor and Google the Horace Grant thing?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see if I can.
Or just do like Horace Grant, Panini, blowout. It should be good. It was just funny because it was like a super random player, but it was just very noticeable. Like a bunch of people picked up on it.
Yeah, here we go.
I don't know why I think this is so funny. It's like oh, and it's like pre-Panini too. It's like upper it's really bad, dude. There's so many. Maybe it's just like Horace Grant had some really serious, agent that was like, no more photos. You can only use this one. You only get the rights to this.
Oh, and look who chimed in. He said, should we laugh or cry?
Dude, you could probably find some pretty embarrassing comments from well-respected influencers in the hobby.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I can't believe I missed this Clubhouse thing.
Are they still going about this?
Oh, I mean, Nick is trying to keep it going.
Don't listen to these guys. All right. Card Shop Dad says, What was the first card you chased or wanted as a kid? The first card.
96 Topps Chrome Refractor, Kobe Bryant.
There you go. Mine was the 93 Ultra Scoring Kings, Michael Jordan.
That's probably the most common answer to this question, isn't it?
I think so.
What is it about it? Is it the lightning? Like being a young kid and seeing the lightning?
Probably. And just that was one of the it like Beam Team came out from Stadium Club the year before, but like this was probably the first like full foil insert shiny card, and like it just, and they were rare. You know, there's only one Scoring Kings per box, and yeah, it planted all the seeds for budding collectors who are, I guess I would have been 7. All right.
Neither of us own that card, or the card we named.
Yep, that's true. What does that say? I don't know. Yeah, what that says is you evolved in the hobby, and
Yeah, and I don't want a green card.
right. Not a Hulk card. Like you do have a very nice green card.
Yes, I don't want a Hulk green. I thought that was clear.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, what are your thoughts on Kevin Garnett's 2012 Prism Gold outselling Tim Duncan's? And it was close, but like in the same auction very recently, Garnett's 2012 Prism Gold PSA 9 sold for $15,000, and Duncan's sold for $13,800.
Did you look at any of the data on those two guys? I didn't look at data. I just kind of took this one as an outlier because given the set and the rarity of it. You know, you could have just had set collectors going after it, but maybe KG is more popular.
KG, well, this is just coming to me right now, but KG has virtually no high-end rookie cards, whereas Duncan has a PMG green, he has a PMG red, he has an essential.
Maybe the best rookie cards.
Yeah, exactly. So like maybe that has something to do with it too. Like 2012 Prism Gold means more to the Garnett canon than Duncan's 2012 Prism Gold means to his. And also Garnett is depicted in a Celtics uniform, which is pretty cool too. Like I think that, you know, when people were replying to my story post about this, like they were like a lot of Boston people who were like justifying this. So yeah, I mean, and the prices were pretty close, right? Like they're pretty darn close. But I guess maybe the thing that this question is more so getting at is, well, Tim Duncan has 5 championships, you know, to Garnett's 1. Duncan seems to be much more statistically accomplished. Why is this even close? Even if, this card is more important to Garnett collectors, why should this even be close? What do you say to that?
I think this is one of the things that makes the hobby so much fun and interesting is that we don't just follow a specific set of rules. Like KG is more popular because of, like his style of play, the teams he's played for, the fact that, he had definitely way less talent around him and less structure around him than Duncan had. So people can like see that and value that in cards differently than they do how they rank the players all the time. It just makes it fun and interesting. I don't know that Garnett is definitively more valuable than Duncan across the board in cards, but this is like a pretty decent example that he's at least, on the same level.
And you know what I love? I love when the winner of a card is with us to discuss it live. The winner of this card is in the chat. It was Cage Lawyer who won the Duncan Gold PSA 9. And he facetiously says the winner must have overpaid. But I don't think so. I think that's such a...
What are the final prices? I don't think you said the prices yet.
15 for the Garnett and 13.8 for the Duncan.
Man, that Prism Gold set is so popular.
Those are really strong prices. All right. Ben X Crunner 1 says, what is more important to the long-term health and sustainability of card values? The total amounts of collectors or how much money the average collector has to spend on cards? So on the one hand, it only takes 2 people with deep pockets who want to make a card price go up. But on the other hand, with any classic card that has a high print run, like the Bird Magic rookie or the 86 Fleer Jordan, you need a lot of people collecting it to keep its price where it's at.
You had a reply. Read your reply.
Yeah, well, I said, look, both of these points are true on both sides of this argument, but I redirected the question in a totally different way. I said, I think the most important thing to long-term health and sustainability of the hobby is that we get back to the roots of this hobby being fun and it being an escape and it being a release for people. And that if you're having fun in the hobby, that's going to make it long-term sustainable. So I guess my answer was kind of like, let's not put the cart before the horse here. We can solve both of these. This doesn't need to be a dilemma. We can solve both of these if we make sure that people are learning the hobby and the people who come into the hobby come in because it's fun and it's a nice escape from their everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to think about it. And I can kind of give the answer based on that context, which is like, I want more people to have fun in this hobby. So I'll just say that, more people, more volume, more people to add to the community, different people that collect differently. They go after different players that, not as many people go after today. Would be more interesting, more fun. So just more, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right. Lefko says, in the Marvel Universe, to acquire the Soul Stone, you must sacrifice someone you love. Oh, no. A soul for a soul. If you were to get your ultimate grail, what card that you love the most would you sacrifice? This is very dramatic, yeah. The ultimate grail.
He's probably like watching, Endgame or right now. He's just like, come on, get the Soul Stone or the Infinities. I don't know shit about Marvel, so you might as well just cut me off. But he's probably in the drama right now, trying to figure out what should he do next.
Well, the thing is, though, I've contemplated giving up my entire collection for the ultimate grail, not just one card. So
would you give up your Jokic Black would you give up your Jokic Black and would you give up everything but your Christian McCaffrey PC for the Jordan Green?
Well, that's basically the same question with or without that PC because it's not worth very much.
I'm trying to throw you a bone and make it a little bit easier on you.
For the Jordan Green, no, I wouldn't. No, would you?
We had the opportunity to do so twice.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's a very serious thought, though. It's not easy.
Yeah, both times, you sit down and you contemplate it and you do the pro-con list. But at the end of the day, some of the cards that you have now that you would have to give up to get one of those 9 or 10, depending on if we believe the rumors about the ripped up one of the Jordan Green, you would never be able to get back. Be able to get back. So at that point, it's are you willing to put some of those cards into the black hole and just say, I was lucky enough to own them at one time, or keep the multiples that you love? What, is he laughing at me?
No, Julian says, would Hoj give up Stiff for the McCaffrey Black Finder? Do you get it?
Give up Nick?
Yeah. When I trade Nick for the McCaffrey Black 1/1.
Is that an option?
This is Chris right now. He's like,
Yeah.
Well, what condition is it in?
Yeah, you're like, give up Nick in what sense?
What's the equivalent question of this for you? I don't know that you have a one grail of all grails thing.
I mean, I've always been Stiff says I'll allow it. I've always been on this consolidation train of thought, and that's been my thing. And the ultimate consolidation is to play out what you're saying and trade everything for one grail. But nah, I just like too many designs of cards right now. I really like my current PG. The more interesting question is, put yourself in alternate reality that you own the green Jordan,
When you trade back the other way?
would you trade? I don't think you would. I don't want to bias you, but I don't think you would do that either. I feel like people just don't want to trade out of what they have.
No. Yeah. Because then I wouldn't have all the memories of acquiring those cards, and they wouldn't mean anything extra special to me. And I definitely wouldn't like trade down from the Jordan PMG Red to like a handful of grails of equivalent value,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
there's too much. My point is that like there's a lot of emotion built up in the time we've spent to get to this point, and it's just like it would be really, really painful to get rid of all of that for one card that we have less emotional attachment to because it's brand new. We don't even have it yet.
Yeah. Mike Pinkerton 50 asks, where is the best place to sell medium priced or high priced cards right now?
I mean, auction houses, right?
Yeah, yes, I think so. I think
No, you're supposed to say like the National or like.
Yeah, no, I think that there's pretty clearly two auction houses that are a cut above in terms of selling that tier of cards, and there's a few others that do pretty well from time to time also. It kind of depends. Like, is it vintage? Is it modern? Is it ultra modern? What is it? So, yeah, I would go with one of the leading auction houses.
Or just eBay best offer and just let it sit there for years. Like, list it way too high.
Yeah. No, I think eBay isn't – maybe this will change, but I don't think that they're super focused on doing high-end. Like, they cap their seller fees. So, like, I think – yeah, like they cap out at like $750 or something, or at least that's what it was. So like that, which tells you like they're not putting any premium on you selling a $100,000 item over a $10,000 item. So yeah.
I mean, as
my slabs added high end.
Yeah.
They call it showcase, and you can put high end in my slabs now too.
Nice.
And they still have the lowest seller's fees. That's what I was gonna say. As a seller, you can't beat my slabs.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? If you're thinking about selling something mid-range or high-end, give everybody a shot. Reach out to representatives and let everybody get a chance to make their pitch to you. And if it's a high-end or a mid-range item, it's worth your time to do that, I would think.
Plus, post it to your Instagram. I've had it where I sold a card at auction, not without posting it, because I just, I, for whatever reason, I just did. And I had people message me or DM me like, yeah, I would have bought that from you. And it's like, oh, I should have made a post, or, I should have tried to at least get it into the community and sell it to someone directly that I, knew directly. Send it to an influencer. Bleaker Trading says.
Nope, we're not normalizing influencers in the hobby.
I texted you this week especially was like a really like gross week for influencers for me. I was just like very appalled at some of the stuff I've seen on Instagram this week.
Just
no good.
Week?
No, that's what Chris said. He's like, really? I've noticed it for much longer. And I was like, no, I know, you're right. But for some reason, this week for me just was like a little bit worse. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't really care about you traveling the world. Just show the fucking card. Like, get to it. This is about the cards. This isn't influencer like 101 blog week. This is what are the cards? This is why we're here.
Yeah.
If you're not talking about cards, then you're not a card influencer. You're just an influencer. You're a content creator. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. There's a huge difference between influencers and content creators. And it's the end. It's what the end goal is. So,
I mean, you can make content about anything you want. Just don't hide behind being someone that's posing as someone that's like a collector and you're about cards and your content is centered around cards. If it's not, great. I just won't follow you, right? I'll just, let me know. But if you're going to say you're going to make card content, then let's talk about cards because that's what I'm here for.
Nice. Do you feel better?
Not really. It was like really bad, man. Some of the content is like this isn't even card related, and some of the content is also getting like weaker in quality. Like, what do you guys think? Star, Jordan, or Fleer? Like, oh my God, how many times are we gonna talk about this topic? Like, please come up with something more interesting. It's boring
Welcome,
content.
welcome to the fucking
I
team.
mean, to be fair though, Josh, like this is the first time some of them have even heard about the star. So
I know, but this is like the oldest topic. It's just like
yeah,
it's
but
just so
when you're
lowbrow.
not, but when you're not a collector and you're not in the hobby, and then you hear about like the star, that's new. That's new content for you.
But these are coming from accounts that I follow who are like are collectors. Like some of it is like regenerated content to attract new people into your audience. So you basically have to like fake what you're interested in to try to attract new people just to build your followers or something. I'm not sure. Is the goal to build followers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sensing that that's kind of the goal is like either piggybacking off of, more popular influencers above you or creating content that you think is going to get more eyeballs because, it's more buzzwordy filled. I feel like that's really disingenuous and you should create content that interests you for real. Then we're going to, if you are more interested in it genuinely, you will get more followers that way. People will be more interested to follow you when you actually care about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen. A lot of people who don't want to hear that, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, I don't give a shit. People, it's going to make for some awkward moments at National for me. I just don't care.
No, you do not care.
You've seen it in person. I don't care.
I've definitely seen it in person. It is an amazing spectacle to behold.
It is amazing.
Well, I've got a new influencer to battle against, and his name is Chris Hoge.
Fuck this.
You're like trying to distance yourself so hard.
Dude, I do not like the fucking label influencer. I hate it. I want nothing.
What do you hate about it? What's bothering you?
What does an influencer do? What is an influencer? An influencer exists to drive people to buy things that they were not organically going to buy. I'm not interested in that. I don't even like marketing as a category of industry. Marketing rubs me the wrong way. I don't watch commercials during games. I will mute the TV or change the channel. Dude, this is like I really am against these things. I do think there are some people who conduct marketing with integrity and they do it appropriately with full transparency, and I think that's great. But the vast majority of marketing just seems like a clever way, for people to feel powerful and, cloak their manipulation of others in a seemingly normalized, socially acceptable way. And I just don't like it. I think influencer marketing falls into that, and influencer marketing has perverse outcomes because it has messed up incentives. You're supposed to collect as many followers as you can. So what do people do? They buy fake followers and they buy fake comments and stuff. And that's not leading anybody to anywhere good. It's just the deception piles on top of deception, piles on top of manipulation. And I've just always opted out. So an influencer marketing seems to be in that category of thing. And I just don't like it. I like natural content that comes from a place of authenticity and can stand on its own, whether it has 1 million views or whether it has 10 views.
Do you feel like it's getting worse?
I should do I
like be objective. I'm just being a crybaby this week because I noticed it and you guys are like, yeah, we've noticed it forever. Is it getting worse? Is it we just notice it more? I feel like I thought it was going to go away when the market went down. I thought those people would just kind of crawl back into their holes, but I don't know.
Well, one of the ways that it is starting to get weird is that, like Caden Cards says, there are a lot of sponsorships out there in this hobby now, like a lot, and that's okay. Like on the one hand, it's amazing that content creators are able to earn a living by making content. That's something in the hobby that would have been unfathomable 5 years ago. So that's awesome. But in terms of you know, sometimes like the sponsorship is just like, it's a lot, man. Like it's almost like people who've built authentic audiences in this hobby, you know, they've been captured to some degree by sponsors. And then, you know, once you're sponsored, you can speak objectively. You still can, and a lot of the content creators do, but it just gets a little weird. You know, it gets a little weird when we try to talk about PSA or Golden, which are sister companies to Card Ladder now. You know, we try to be objective about it, but it's just, you know, we're not free of this either. So it's tricky. It's an awkward place that content creation is at in the hobby.
I just don't know what we can do about it. I don't know how to fight it. I feel like the more I complain, it just makes me angry for no reason, and it's just gonna keep coming. I just need to accept it.
Yeah, well, but you know, by the same token, the option is always there to just tune out. That's
the unfollow and the mute, great options on Instagram. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. So like, I want to, you know, so Rich Homie Kunk, who's a great commenter and you know, person in the Sports Card Network, says, well, what do you mean, no marketing for Card Ladder? Like, I'm not following your take. And no, we do marketing. You know, I mean, marketing broadly construed is making knowledge of your product available to the public. And we do that. But, you know, through our marketing and through the way that we promote our product, you know, we don't want to give, you know, we try very hard to not have any manipulation or deception. We just want to tell people what the product is. Nothing extra, nothing less. And we use a lot of our marketing avenues are just like promoting the hobby and just promoting cool cards and making the bet that if people see like cool card related content on Card Ladder, that like, then they're going to say, hey, maybe the people who are putting out this content might also be people who make a product that I'm interested in. Or maybe not, you know, maybe not. Or maybe it hits that in-between zone where they're like, we don't really want to buy your product, but the free version of it's pretty cool. So maybe that's, you know, that's another element to putting a product out in the hobby, and then having a free tier available, which we've always had since day one. We've always
the pricing is, I mean, the fact that we haven't changed the pricing is like, to me, it's like, we're not trying to play tricks. This is just the price. You know, we're not trying, it's not $14.99 and all this. Like, it's $15, and that's just kind of what it is. I'll give you an example. What if we had said, what if we like picked a celebrity and told everybody that this celebrity doesn't use any product other than Card Ladder, no other data apps, they don't use anything else, they're exclusive, you know, Card Ladder. We've never done anything like that. You know, we're not trying to like piggyback off of someone else's success. We're not trying to like claim that other famous celebrities use our product. Like, that's some of the tricks you're saying. Like, we're not trying to hide what it is, and we're not trying to be deceptive.
Yeah.
LeBron only uses Card Ladder. If he cared about cards, he would definitely only use Card Ladder. I kind of know him, you know, through my cards. I feel like he would do that.
Definitely. All right. How did we even get down that hole? I don't know.
Because it's been really pissing me off this week.
Yeah. Do you want to get any more takes off about this? I mean, look, you know, here's the thing. I've
been looking for a launching point, and I just made my own.
I made a lot of noise about the state of hobby content maybe like 3 months ago.
You did.
Yeah. So like, it's just, to me, I've already moved past it. So, you know, but I'm here. I'm here for the takes. I'm here for all of it.
Chris is in the stage of like acceptance where Josh just joined angry.
Yeah, it's like, it's been a couple accounts where I'm just like, God damn it.
Yeah, and we're coming at it from different points of view. Like, my criticism of hobby content continues to be this. The lowest tier, like fantasy football content, still has more preparation, more thoughtfulness, and more empirical, data-driven support for it than many of the more successful hobby content. And it's different things, right? But like, I've reached a point in the hobby where like, man, I'm begging for a higher grade of content. And like, there are people who have mastered the day in the life content, and that's great. Like, hobby content creators do a really good job of day in the life content. But like, can we get something else? Can we get something, a little bit beyond that? Like, there was, especially when we don't have like a gold standard of like content creators who are, making statistically driven content, which is very normal in the NBA or in the NFL content worlds and the podcast worlds for all types of sports and fantasy stuff. Like, it's very normal for these guys to have statistics on hand, to come in prepared to discussions. Like, if you read a Zach Lowe blog post about the NBA, this guy has a lot of data and anecdotes to back up what he's saying. Like, can we get something like that in the hobby so that, we don't end up in a position where we have guys making content on big hobby platforms and they're just making up numbers and putting them on charts, and then people are calling them out, like, and people are DMing me and like, did this guy literally just make up all of the stuff on this chart? And yeah, I think he did, and it's just like, man, it's just embarrassing to me. Honestly, I consume do you even consume much hobby content? I consume very little hobby content these days.
I listen to 2 podcasts. I listen to Stacking Slabs occasionally. So I do listen to Brett's show.
Yep.
Shout out Brett. I think he has very interesting new stuff to talk about. And the 2 that I listen to religiously are Bill Simmons' podcast and the All In podcast. So no.
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I could. I would love it if I could combine my 2 favorite, like my hobby love and my podcast. I like listening to podcasts. I would love it. There just isn't.
I know.
The quality's just too low. The quality's not good enough.
It's tough, but there are some good ones out there. Like, I don't want to take that away. Like, especially like the day in the life content or the lifestyle content. There's some really good ones out there. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of naming a bunch of them, but like Wax Museum Podcast and 90s B-Ball Cards, like, these guys have been doing it with us, going back to 2018 or so. And like, those guys have continued consistently to put out great stuff. Love Stacking Slabs by Brett. There's lots of other people out there too who do a nice job. So like, let us not say that we don't appreciate and look up to some of the content creators who do a nice job. So just because there's room for improvement, that's okay. Yeah, I love Dr. Beckett's podcast too. Beckett's podcast is amazing. Love his work.
You catch me on a bad week.
Yeah.
To ask you this question.
We're allowed to have bad weeks and to snap a little bit from time to time.
I don't have any other takes.
All right. Perimeter Collectibles says PWCC Premier is absolutely loaded. And we've all seen the trend of high-end cards being listed as more people are trying to cash out. But does the quality and selection available surprise you? So like, here's a great example of a question that somebody should be able to use a data-driven approach to answer. So like, Perimeter, I'm sure the question asker here is observing this anecdotally, personally, that we've all seen a trend of more high-end listed as more people are trying to cash out. Those are 2 empirically verifiable statements. The first one being, is it true that more high-end is being listed right now than previously? That's a question that can be empirically answered. And then second, are more people trying to cash out? That's a question that can be answered from more of a social science point of view. You can conduct surveys. You can do anthropological research. There are ways to answer these questions so that we don't just, end up going with our observation, which might be biased or which might be wrong, right? So this is why this question dovetails nicely with what we were just talking about, because I actually want to know the accurate answer, but I don't know it. And we don't have the time in our days to be those content creators, but hopefully somebody will be. But what do you say about this? So PWCC Premier is loaded. I pulled up this auction so we could take a look at some of the stuff that's in it. And the question is, does the quality and selection of cards available surprise you? Is there like a lot of high end? Is this surprising you that so much of it is out?
I mean, I don't have the data either, but it does feel that way for sure. Like, I could pretty easily prove to you that there's been more LeBron exquisite RPAs that have sold in the last 2 years than the previous like 5, combined.
Yeah.
And there's like Jordan Red PMGs have obviously sold several times. There's an Ultimate LeBron in every auction. You just showed 2 Pat Mahomes RPAs.
Yep.
There's like 2. I think there's 2 Steph Curry Top Storm Refractor rookies. I know you commented like there could be a lot more, but it does feel like a lot of people are. I don't know if cashing out's the word. I think it's more like turning more of the cards that they maybe like spent a lot of their money on during 2021 and converting some of that back into just like boring old cash. It's like you said, you'd have to do a study into like the social aspect of, are people cashing out because they don't believe in the hobby, or they're just simply like moving into different cards, or there's many different reasons, I'm sure.
Well,
some people taking profits from 10 years prior of purchasing. There's all these reasons.
Well, one of the things that MT Trading on Twitter does a nice job of researching is that a lot of these are the same card getting listed over and over again. So there's a perception that like, there must have been 10 different copies of the LeBron RPA to surface in the last year. I'm just making up this example. I don't know if it applies in this particular instance. But if you look at the serial number, it turns out actually it's just the same 3 cards being recycled over and over again. So all that means is that you have 3 people or maybe multiple owners playing a flip reinvestment game of chicken with the card. So so then that blows up the thesis that there's a larger number of people cashing out right now, or that there's more high end being listed than usual. Well, but you have to keep in mind that it's just a small group of people selling the same handful of cards back and forth to each other over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, you and I know a lot of, like, I won't call them private, but like less public collectors. They have Instagram accounts. We know they exist. That just aren't the ones selling this stuff. There's so many guys that we know that's like, we know have a lot of these cards and they're not their copies, So I think it is a lot of the people who kind of came in the last 2 years that maybe got a little overexcited buying stuff last year and they're worried about it. So they're reselling it this year. There's definitely a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Even just looking at the 2003 Finest Gold LeBron PSA 7 in this PWCC premiere, They bought that like 2 months ago in Golden. Like I could just go find the serial number. It's the same card. And is that person panicking because another one sold after that for less and they're just wanting to dump it? I'm not. There's definitely a lot of that going on.
Yes, there is, and that that's why like it just gets difficult. It gets frustrating trying to make sense of the market, trying to answer questions like this one when somebody can take the time to really dig into it and organize the information and answer the question accurately, or we're just kind of feeling our way through it. Just like, it seems this way, it seems that way.
Well, do you think like obviously the more stuff you sell, the supply goes up, the price is eventually going to go down?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's actually bad for the market long term to see those cards, correct, or whatever like investment term you want to use? I like to see these cards get to their real valuation because they've sold so many times. Is that a bad thing for the long term?
No, especially because, certain cards only got to the ridiculous valuation because of these games that are being played in the first place.
Exactly.
But the thing where it becomes problematic is when narratives get built around it that misunderstand like what's actually happening here. And what's actually happening here is like there's strategic sales and strategic purchases happening to set up sales of other cards at later times. And it's not exactly what being said. Like to create the narrative that like, there's lots of high-end cards at PWCC, therefore there's a massive sell-off happening from real collectors who are taking cash off the table. Like that isn't right. That might be true, or it might not be true. And it's important to line up the data to answer that question if you care about making a reasonably informed decision as a buyer in this hobby. So that's where I land on that. But like, there's more than meets the eye to what's happening here. Like like the MT trading card. There's other people out there who are putting puzzle pieces together that's worth looking at.
Yeah, the reason I asked my answer is that like I don't think it's a bad thing that we weed out, people that aren't really in this for the long haul. Like if we have these people that are in the hobby that are just sort of like, buying something just for the purposes of like selling it for more a year later, and that didn't come to fruition, so they're just dumping and getting out. I think I'm not like super concerned about that scenario.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic, I pointed this out in a comment as well, but it's also worth thinking about the fact that there's a lot of pressure from auction houses, which is their job, to encourage holders of cards to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because the standard buyer's premium on a card is 20%. So all the incentives line up in the direction of auction houses are going to encourage owners of cards to take profit, to take or cut their losses, and to sell cards now because their business model depends on it. So, to me, the fact that there's only a few hundred high-end cards, available for sale in the month of July out of the total population of tens of thousands of high-end cards that could come to sale at auction in a given month is indicative of the resolve and the desire of people to own cards, even cards that have 10 or 20x'd in the past few years, that they would rather own those cards than, give in to the pressure from all sides that's saying, so you must sell, you should take your profits, you should sell. So that's my take on that question it's hard. There's 372 cards in this PWCC Premier, which is higher than I guess the last one was maybe 250 to 300. But yeah. What is that percentage increase as a fraction of the total amount of high-end cards that would meet the criteria of being $20,000 or more to sell in this auction? It wouldn't even show up, that the difference of 70 cards. It wouldn't even show up on that on that total sample. So I think these questions there's way more to them than meets the eye.
Yeah. The part that's frustrating for us is there's cards that I've seen a couple times that hadn't sold previously ever, and those are cards that we hold in high regard because they don't sell a lot, and it's frustrating to see cards that we didn't think would ever sell more than once a year, selling 4 times in a couple months. It's a little bit frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, it is. So we'll see. Time will bear this out as well. It's to get back to Perimeter's question, does the quality and selection available surprise you? No. And honestly, last month in Golden, we had a PMG Red well oversell its market value, in my opinion. And now you're going to see several PMG Reds come to market because that's the way that cycle goes.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, no matter which angle I look at it from, it really doesn't surprise me. So,
I mean, it's the LeBron RPA went from $100,000 to $1 million, kind of out of nowhere, consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were so we saw 10 of them come to the auction, same as the MJ PMG Red.
Yep. Okay. Do you have any more stuff you want to say kind of about the state of the high-end market and the auction houses right now and also going into the national?
I'm interested to see how it affects national in terms of does this decrease the amount at which people are willing to transact, given that like they're gonna say stuff like, oh, I'm waiting for this auction to end. This one ended lower because it's sold so many times, so I don't believe in these comps. Or, I feel like we're gonna go through a period of rebound. Like people are gonna be second guessing a lot of this stuff and like overanalyzing all these different auction houses results, and they might be more inclined to not make decisions and not sell cards and just sort of like list their stuff, way overvalued and just not move it. I'm a little worried about that situation and how that plays out at National. That's really the only thing that's the only thing I might be looking for.
Yeah. Okay. All right, because now we're going into a different type of question here. Drake's PC says, assume that there's a late 90s card that you want that's numbered to 50 or less, but only one half of the total number of cards are graded by PSA and BGS. Do you assume that the rest are raw and that ripping product to find it would be a waste of time? It's all already been pulled. Or, assuming that sealed wax is available and reasonably priced, what would compel you to buy some wax and start hunting for one?
Well, did you say this is Drake's PC?
Yeah, this is Drake.
I mean, he's probably talking about like Peyton Manning cards from like the early 2000s. So I would say don't try to open that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Though I was going to say like the older the card, obviously the more likely it's already been pulled and you're sort of chasing ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even cards that were numbered to 50 or less, with a few exceptions, they weren't worth a ton in the late 90s and the early 2000s. We saw Lameme James posted a meme of like damaged product that got damaged in the mail. And like the first thing I thought was, what if the Luca Prism Black was in like a damaged box and just got thrown away?
Right.
And dude, there was plenty of wax that either was damaged or got discarded that probably had some of those rare cards in it. And there's also probably some sitting in random binders somewhere like that just...
So they can't tell the difference? Like they don't know that it's the parallel?
Yeah, they have no idea that the card might be worth a few hundred, maybe a few grand. So that's real. That's a real thing there. I mean, I would think that there's very few Grail level cards still sitting in product, especially from the 90s and the 2000s. But then again, in 2016, a guy went and bought maybe 2 or 3 boxes from his local hobby shop of 97, 98 Metal Universe. And out from one of those packs came the Jordan PMG Green, number 1 of 100.
Yeah, you're right. You're just, at the very end, you're like, you know what, Drake? Go buy those boxes and just start ripping away, dude. Yeah. I've actually seen, I know where, this is like probably not going to connect with a lot of people, but I know where more of the 2012 Gold Prism Penny Hardaways exist than I do the 98, 99 PMG Golds. And there's 50 of those and only 10 of the 2012 Prism Golds. How is that possible? Yeah. I know where like 3 of those PMG Golds are and like 6 of the Prism Golds.
Yeah. Yep. And that does add to the allure of some of that 90s and early 2000s stuff, because like nowadays, like the Jalen Green Prism Black got pulled, and I know who pulled it, and I know when it got pulled and where it got pulled. And the Cade Cunningham Prism Black got pulled, and I know who and where. And the Trey Lance and the Mac Jones, and like as cool and as amazing as it is that like we get to see all these cards come out of packs because of the breaking era that we're in right now. By the same time, some of the mystery and the mystique and the intrigue of these cards is now gone. It's just like, we know those cards, they're not unicorns. Like, we know they exist and we know they went somewhere. But like a lot of this 90s and early 2000s stuff, like there are unicorns out there. And it's pretty interesting. It adds a little bit to the allure of those cards.
That's also what makes NFTs so stupid. I can see all 10,000 of them just scrolling through, and like, there they are. I know where all of them are. I know exactly what all of you paid at every point, and I know every wallet it's gone to.
And you'll never actually physically hold it. So what's the difference if you own it or you just look at it on your computer screen? Like, why buy something I could look at for free?
Okay, we're just piling on. Like, aren't NFTs having a hard enough time right now? I forgot that NFTs existed. I haven't seen NFT related content from the card pages that I follow in
Zero.
weeks. In weeks, it's been
Zero.
so
Literally zero.
it's been so long. Oh, it's been a long time.
I wonder why. Is it because the only value they have is their current price? I mean, I'm just speculating.
Yeah. Well, let me take that back. I have seen some Panini NFT content.
Yeah, Panini's
Those
having
are
an
up.
NFT party at the National.
And Panini NFTs are a little bit different too. Like a lot of them have a physical item that's attached to it, which obviously makes a huge difference. And it's, you know, it's like it's derivative of cards themselves. But yeah, outside of that, I've seen very little NFT content lately, and yeah, that's what look. We're when it was epidemic level of NFT pumping on card accounts, we called it out, and then when it subsided, it's over. We don't have much to say about it. So
We can still call it out.
there's nothing to call out, though. I guess is my point.
What was the word? Brutal? Or what was that word?
Yeah, yep, that was the word, brutal.
The card market's brutal. You got Subway again, bro?
Dude, this has been my my go-to every day. After I go to the court and play, I go sit at Subway and put a sweat stain right on that chair in Subway.
So this isn't like a movie cup thing where you reuse it. This is today. You got the Subway cup today.
This is a brand new cup.
Well, then you'll never guess what I had for dinner.
Chipotle.
Friday night Chipotle.
Mm-hmm. Cardboard Revival says people are more interested in the fast food comments.
I know. The viewership or the viewers in here in the comments ramp up when we start talking about food.
Cardboard Revival says card grades on autographed cards. Shouldn't the condition of the autograph matter the most?
Wait, what?
When we're talking about card grades for autographed cards, shouldn't the condition of the autograph matter the most?
I think so, yeah. I think I've said it before, I'd rather have a PSA 7 with a 10 auto than I would a PSA 9 with a 9 auto.
Yeah, we had a little bit on this last week. So, yeah, don't want to retread the content there, but yeah, Cardboard Revival, we're both with you on that. By the way, Rodman, you had a nice shout out earlier in the show, but I think you missed it.
He did miss it.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
He'll have to go back.
Oh, his noise boys avatar?
Yeah. Do you even own a Noise Boys anymore? He definitely doesn't own that 9.5 anymore.
That's how old that blow up post is. That was like his best card back then. Now he's got like 20 cards better than that one.
Yeah, he's got all those Messies.
This show needs so many sponsors. Chipotle, Truly, Subway. Come on.
And with those
These
types of sponsors, we don't have to worry about compromising our ability to speak objectively on hobby-related topics.
Exactly. That's the beauty of food. It's just so far away from our content that we could just, with no hard feelings, we could just do it.
All right. Vinny Slabarino says, the spread between the last two sales of a card may not be a good way to think about the total return because it doesn't consider the hefty transaction costs. The cost of buying the card, which includes sales tax and shipping, and the cost of selling the card, such as auction fees and income taxes. A card may have to go up 20% from when you bought it just to break even when you're adding up all those transaction costs. Not to mention the time value of money. Is this the wrong way to look at it? For example, mutual funds often cite total return of the fund after fees. Thank you very much. Josh, I saw that you liked this question, so I wanted to give you the floor when you get back to be the first one to take a crack at it. And I'll just say that nothing that Vinny says here is wrong. So he makes a lot of good points here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I did like that question.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions about this as it relates to card ladder as well. Like, my collection value or the card value should reflect like the fees that go into it and the selling fees and stuff. And I get it. It's just that my opinion is that those other pieces to it are all variables that we can't control. Like, it's not always 20%. Sometimes you sell it privately and it's 0. Everyone's tax situations are differently in how they treat cards, as it relates to their taxes, different brackets. So it's just hard to kind of make any sort of blanket statement that like, let's just take 10%, conservative here. Let's do 20. Like, it's different for everybody. So it's just really hard to work from that. And we can only work from like, the two sales prices and how we analyze the market. That's the only way we can actually do it and keep it accurate. Yeah.
And great point. And like I said, I think Vinny makes all valid points here. But this is a great time to jump in and say, this ain't stocks, and this ain't mutual funds, this ain't bonds, this ain't municipal bonds, this ain't government bonds, this isn't preferred stocks, this isn't common stocks, this isn't any of those things. These are collectibles. And when you're looking at kind of like sales prices of collectibles, the better analogy is something like the consumer price index or the real estate market index. These are indexes that are built to monitor price appreciation, okay, not returns on investment. So, and it's like, like people with the stock background, like just throw up their hands like, well, these indexes, they're not taking into account all the factors that are, relevant to return on investment. Yeah, but that's because we're not even trying to answer the question of return on investment. We're trying to document price appreciation, which is the same thing that the consumer price index does. It's the same thing that real estate indexes do. There's many index. There are other indexes besides stock indexes, and they index lots of different things. And so, the constant comparison to stocks is mind-numbing at times. And even if you factor in all of those percentages and fees and stuff like that, over the longer haul, like the last 5 years, the percentage return on cards, if you wanted to look at it through the stock and bonds and mutual funds lens, absolutely eviscerates whatever hypothetical conceivable returns were realized by investing in market tracking or S&P 500 tracking funds. So whichever way you want to dice up, like if you want to answer the ROI question, go for it, knock it out, but knock yourself out, have a great time. And like, there's lots of interesting
using custom indexes.
Yeah, make a custom index, and but there would be an ask of like, hey, can we have an index that takes into account the average fees and this and that and the other? And hey, maybe there's a lane for it. Maybe there's a desire in a lane for somebody to make content that's focused on doing that. And if so, like, great, that might be really good, interesting content that would speak to this topic of like, cards aren't really, can we really say A, yes we can, and B, understand what the indexes are doing. Indexes are tracking price appreciation. So
yeah, one of the things that makes this topic difficult for you and I in particular is that our background in cards comes from two people whose goal is to actually like acquire the cards and keep them and not make it a game of like investing in ROI. So it's really hard for us to like turn our brains into this topic.
Mm-hmm.
it's been sort of forced upon us over the last 2 years. Part of it being because we have a business that analyzes the prices and the stats, so we should be doing that. But also, like, the average mindset of how to approach this space has shifted more towards investing than it once was. So it's just a little bit difficult for us to put ourselves in the mindset of, like, your goal isn't to just like have all the best cards, it's to make ROI. Okay, well, let me try,
Yeah, and that's a great point, and that's where the disconnect happens, because like it was 2 years ago now, or even more, that you, in response to these types of questions, came up with the slogan about,
Right.
we don't like sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments because we like sports cards. So in other words, the mechanism that enables sports cards to realize price appreciation is the fact that continually escalating prices, the overwhelming supermajority of the owners of those items continue to prefer to own the item rather than to sell it. That's the function. That's like the main mechanism at the core of price appreciation in a collectibles market, is that as the price continues to climb, people still prefer to own the item. If that equation weren't true, then the price appreciation wouldn't follow. You'd get a flood of the market of people who prefer to take the cash rather than the card, and then the glut of supply leads to decreasing price. So,
and this kind of goes back to help answer that question previously of, does this PWCC Premier auction, does the last few golden auctions, are they more loaded with sort of these high-end rare collector type cards than usual? And maybe we're seeing it where, this sort of evolution of the investor through the space has gotten to the point of realizing, like, that is the stuff that I should be investing in. And now they're the ones moving that stuff around and doing what they usually do, which is buy and sell and transact it. And we're just seeing more of those collector type because they've evolved into that space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And that would also explain why it's the same couple of copies. It's like,
exactly.
Once those copies get funneled into, those hands, then they just keep turning over. And like, I would be a little bit pissed, even though I would have no right, I would be a little bit pissed if, like, I sold one of my prized cards only to see it then get flipped 18 times in the next year and just see my copy just over and over again. It would disgust me a little bit.
Yeah. That's why I prefer to sell privately if I can.
Yeah. But thank you, Vinny, for the great questions. Always super thought-provoking. And
I still like getting these types of questions. It makes us think.
Dude, yeah, we get a lot of questions that make us think, that are good questions.
We're just like so simple in our approach that it's like, if you think that, Chris and I sit around and, draw the strings on the whiteboard and, like, try to figure out what's the next card to pop in value, like, it's so much less than that. It's just like, I'm trying to find the next McCaffrey, I'm trying to find the next LeBron. That's really, it's like our only focus. It's kind of, it might be a little bit sad.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is that simple. And yeah, okay, let's not. All right. So Drake's PC says, many people returning to the hobby over the last 2 years have the same story. They collected as kids and teens, but they got out of the hobby when they went to college and they started their first job and they got married. Now, do you see that trend repeating itself over and over? Or what is different about the hobby now that keeps people from leaving and not coming back until they're in their mid-30s?
Well, I don't know if it's going to repeat in the same fashion, because the people who, this scenario we're talking about, the people who got into the hobby initially got into it purely out of just like being young and collecting and having a passion for it, and not being, there was no, I don't ever remember it being about the money.
No, it was a pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah. I'm sure some of the adults that got into it back then were for the money, like the junk wax era, or the junk wax era. It became about like the money, and that's when the printing happened, and people thought they could get rich and retire. But the kids, I feel like, what you're talking about. Whereas today, a lot of the kids that are in it are more, the culture is more about like the flipping, especially like some of the YouTuber type content and Instagram flipping content. So I don't know that it's going to be quite as applicable, but I think there'll still be, a decent amount of reboot, like nostalgia from people that, like, for example, people like us that get, like for me, getting my kids into it, like I'm going to be influencing them in the way of like, you should be going at it from opening packs for fun, picking out the cards that you think look the best, that are fun for you, building binders. And they'll get nostalgia when they get to be 20 and 30, when they have money to actually buy different things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a different context and setting right now. There is this idea of kind of like these generational resets where like people have things in their childhood that they're nostalgic for, and then they go away from them for a decade or two, and then they come back to them once they have kids or they have their third life crisis or whatever, you know, it is that triggers that flood of nostalgia and the return to those things. But just because that's historically been the case doesn't mean that's going to be the case going forward. There may, as Josh pointed out, there may very well have been lots of other variables that influenced people to come back that had little to do with some like transcendent cycle that just is part of human nature or something like that.
Plus, like, you know, it's really hard to do, but putting yourself in the mind of a young person that's going through like these crazy changes in their life, it's really hard to say like, why didn't we just stick with it? Because we were like, there's so many things going on, you know, when you're growing up in that ages, and you know, you're trying to fit in with your friends, you're trying to follow the next fad, you're trying to focus on what you want to do with your life. It's just, there's just so much going on. It's really hard to like criticize a young person that like, why don't you just stick with cards? You would have been rich. Like, yeah, of course, if I knew that now, I would have stuck with it. And now that we're like settled down, we have consistency in our lives, we have schedules and patterns, it's a little easier to stick with something.
Yeah. And also there were some really good points made about how social media culture in the chat. It was pointed out like social media culture like retains collectors much better. Like it actually, people can build identities that they're proud of and you know, it doesn't make them like the weird kid who's still in high school, you know, still collecting cards. Like during the 90s, you would have been very isolated as the kid who's still getting his Beckett magazine, still going to the local card shop, but like none of your peers are doing this. Everybody's doing other things. But now you are not isolated. Now you might have more social media followers than anybody else in your class as a high schooler because of your card thing. And so like, it's not a thing where like you get peer pressured into going away from it as easily. Instead, it's like a real identity builder. But like with that said, there are some people, some kids like who are going to have a tough decision to make when like, oh, it's time to shift focus now. And like your girlfriend wants to get married and start a family, and it's time for you to start getting that first job after college. And like, then there's going to be less time for the hobby. That's probably going to happen. You know, somebody on Clubhouse today said a great thing. They were like, here's the one piece of advice I would give to a new collector. Don't quit your day job. Treat the hobby as a hobby. Keep it as, you know, a slice of your life. You know, don't let it overrun or overconsume everything. And you need the money and you need the income to keep fueling and letting you have the liberty to make acquisitions in the hobby and not be tied to like having to constantly flip and turn stuff over. So I thought that was great advice. Like a lot of these people are going to be in better positions as a result. I don't pity them at all. They're going to be the best version of collectors they can be by, you know, having a normal, healthy life and the hobby remaining a hobby that makes them happy.
Yeah, dude, I love that point so much. I remember back when I was doing, you know, like the videos and the interviews and stuff, people would ask like, what's like the number one key to you building this collection, or, you know, how did you get to this? I was like, because I have a job and it pays. I was fortunate enough to get into a industry where I have like a decent paying job. I'm fairly good at it. I have money to buy the cards. It was really that simple. Like I just have an income where I have extra money and I'm able to buy cards, you know. It wasn't like I was some genius flipper or I had some like secret, you know, algorithm tapped where I could figure out how to like, you know, buy the perfect card or whatever. It was just that I just had income.
Yeah, that's That's such an underrated piece.
Totally. It's just like, well, cards cost money, and in order to make money, you need a job. So,
Look at this. This does lead down a little bit of a scandalous rabbit hole.
I'm just laughing at Rodman.
Yeah, because Rodman brought up a topic which is basically, what about people who are keeping their cards or their collections secret from their significant other? You can get down. You can go down some.
Yeah, Nick, thank you.
You can go down some dicey rabbit holes. Don't get carried away, I guess, is the bottom.
Don't spend. Yeah, maybe I should have given the little asterisk. Like, I didn't mortgage. Take out a second mortgage and like start going into credit card debt. Right? Like I spent extra money that I had.
Yeah.
You spent money within your means.
Yeah, and
I spent way more than any like financial advisor would have told me, but
right.
I wasn't, like starving for food.
No, and there is a belief out there that a lot of people in the hobby have bought cards to some extent on credit, and I don't know how true that is. This is another question that can be answered through scientifically conducted surveys. But that is very scary. And if you find yourself at the point where you're buying stuff on credit, I think that's a great opportunity to push pause and maybe throw on a couple of Dave Ramsey classics and and just think about not going into any type of debt to fuel your hobby.
Well, we've been pretty critical of, like the selling your collection to go buy a fancy car, right? Mm-hmm. But what we're not critical of is, like paying down your student loan debt or your, like some stuff like that, where it's like, clearly there are some things that are more important than cards, which is like you need food and you need to survive and you need to not be in like massive debt. It's just when it gets to the point of like, oh, I sold this card, now I finally have this, convertible sports cards. Like, yeah, okay, I'm not that excited about that.
Yeah, certain stuff feels like it should be common sense, but all right.
Well, some of us have to clarify for some of the dinguses out there.
I know. Like, just because it's common sense to one person doesn't mean it is to another. All right. We had some Prism questions. Card Shop Dad says, do you have any thoughts on the design of 2021-22 Prism basketball?
Can you go to you guys are like, this is just, I don't care for it. You guys like it, so it's just going to get awkward.
No,
this is great.
One, Chrissy Buckets said it looks like a bug. And two, Bear Down said that it reminds him of Pac-Man and he can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
So those are the two comments I saw regarding the design.
Well, here, I pulled up the Cardboard Connection page.
You don't like it?
No, dude, I love it. Are you kidding me? And I and like, dude, I've seen this happen for 5 straight years. People hate the design of Prism when it comes out.
Yeah. And then,
you want to know something? I actually will pull up the Cardboard Connection page for this Prism because this is the hobby in a nutshell, which is half the reason why I love it and half the reason why it'll drive you crazy. People leave reviews, and the reviews of this product would suggest that, like, how could this product ever sell a box?
Right.
Why would anybody, like, look, this is the first review. Ugly looking cards. I'll wait for select. Better quality, better looking. 2 out of 5. 1 out of 5 stars. I have no sympathy for any excuses from the company here. They've all seen record profits the last few years. Pandemic my ass. Maybe siphon some of that green out of executives' pockets and invest it in making the process go faster. You're literally printing pictures onto cardboard. It's not like you're putting together IKEA furniture, having to source it from around the world. These companies will come up with myriad excuses. 1 star out of 5. Monopolies don't work, and this is the saddest time to be a basketball collector. for those gambling with the cards, breaking, maybe there's some profit, and that justifies the monopoly that has removed children and collectors from NBA cards. Every set, the same pathetic checklist, 2 or 3 stars for their team, and then the rookies. NBA teams have a lot of players, and in the past, nearly every player every season got a card. A happy time, competition, 3 NBA companies, and collectors had a choice.
That's not true.
2 stars.
Every player got a card.
2 stars out of 5. I love Prism as a staple of the card collecting universe, but I have to agree with the majority. Panini, Fanatics, and Breakers have made it impossible for a beginner or even mid-tier to buy into boxes. Hits are terrible. The companies don't hide how money hungry they truly are. The worst of all, I probably have 6 redemptions that I've been waiting on for 3 years. I still can't leave the hobby, but I'm slowing it to a crawl for now. Those are all the reviews on
Prism sold out.
Prism and nobody can find a box for $1,500.
In other news, it's completely sold out. I have 3 things. Are you done? Sorry, are you done?
Go. Yes.
All right. 1, it looks pretty similar to last year. I pointed that out a while back. It's a little disturbing. 2, go to Hezzy Sports Cards account and pull up his stories.
Okay, hang on.
He made a funny anecdote about it that I thought was amusing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The tree thing.
Yeah.
To show that one.
So he says Prism is like a tree trunk. Every year they add another borderline to show its age.
It's kind of true. 2012 has nothing, then they add the little inside one, and they
It definitely gets more borders and more lines keep appearing with each year.
I honestly I'm kind of with you where people say they hate it and then they buy it anyways because it's still the staple of the hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, here Hezzy says, I'm fairly confident that at some point in the future we'll look back at today's era of Prism and collectively agree that they just don't look good. I don't know how people can look at this and think it's sick.
Yeah. I mean, I've clearly thought that for a while, but I get that people really enjoy Prism. I know you love Prism, the black. There's a lot of cool things going for it. So I just sort of, let it ride. And people clearly like it because, like I said at the end, they're sold out and people can't get enough of this shit and they're breaking it all over the place. And
dude, the thing about the hobby is that in some ways it is the worst of the 2 most misery-laden worlds.
Okay, I have my 3rd point, but go ahead.
Oh, no, go for you.
No, go. Yeah, it'll be funnier when
I'm complaining about complaining, but okay.
It'll be funnier when you finish this because mine will be stronger.
Okay, nice. All right, so first you have sports fans. Sports fans, especially in my neck of the woods in the Chicago area, we hate everything related to our team. If we win the Super Bowl, sports radio the next day is going to be, how are the Bears going to fuck it up next year? And then you have stock market related stuff and financial market related stuff, which is just the magnets for the paranoid, anxiety-ridden type who constantly are worrying, and rightfully so, about markets and stuff and managing people's retirements and that's so stressful. And so you bring together the sports fan and the financial market, bro, and you get in some instances a cesspool of toxic negativity that just I don't think you could replicate if you wanted to. Just sometimes and it's funny and it makes sense and I get it, and sometimes I am with those people, but
Yep.
You will never find a brand of negativity that is uniquely the mix of sports hate and finance hate that sports cards delivers on a daily basis.
Well, I'm going to try.
Okay, let's go.
I'm going to try. So I love the All In podcast. I've given them a shout out a few times. They had a new episode come out yesterday and I listened to it today. There was a part where one of the guys on it is my favorite. He's the science guy of the group. He always gives the updates on what new technologies are coming out, what new science, and it's usually centered around like how it affects the world. So it'll be like, some new type of energy that's coming out or some technology that's going to improve the way we consume energy, stuff like that. It's really interesting. But anyways, today he was like, they were talking about the same kind of thing where like everything's so negative, and he's like, I'll just be the one to say it. Like, there's all these discussions of all these things people are worried about. People are worried about inflation. They're worried about like the economy crashing. They're worried about gas prices and food shortages. And he goes, I don't know what everyone's deal is. Like, the lifespan of humans is the longest it's ever been. The technology we have today is the best it's ever been. Our economies are flourishing more than ever. The amount of people that have access to clean water and electricity is the highest it's ever been. The crime and death rate and murder rate is the lowest it's ever been in human history. He's like, we're always continuously moving things forward, but what you see in the media and what you see from people around you is generally more negative. And so it's kind of just like, like, how do you want to see it? Do you want to see the negative of it, or do you want to see the positive? Because you could pretty much find it either way, just depending on how you look at it. I thought it was just, like, when he finished that, the other three guys were like, wait, what? Because it was like, all they do is complain about, inflation is so bad and the market's crashing. But then he said all that stuff, and they're like, oh my God, it is pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, is it just like things are so good with like real issues that people have to make up stuff to be miserable about? And that's where they start worrying about like retirement, which is 20 plus years away, or food shortage, even though you have plenty of supermarkets all around your house, like, and fast food places and restaurants and everything. I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's a place for all of it. Yeah, there's a place for all of it.
Here's for the hate.
Yeah.
I prefer the hate as well.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a place for all of it. But yeah, a guy once in a while, when it gets a little too crazy, if somebody has to come around and say, well, all right,
Yes. Like when people are
here.
When people are like, and I'm one of those people, like, the politics are like getting to the point of everyone's either hard left or hard right, and there's more arguing than ever. If we complain about that too much, I'm going to be the guy that's like, yeah, but like the death rates are actually the lowest they've ever been.
Yeah.
Like,
would you rather
humans
be,
have like,
would you rather be somebody on minimum wage in today, or king 500 years ago, right? Like
we talked about this last week.
Yeah, we
did. Didn't we?
Oh no, it was on Clubhouse. We did this bit on Clubhouse.
It's so true though, right?
Yeah, and it translates into like sports arguments. Like, what like what was like what were some of the examples that we were bringing out? Like,
yeah, would you rather be like John Wall today, or like Bob Cousy back then?
Or no. Would John Wall be like the greatest player of all time if we like put him into the 60s?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well, it's like the guy who makes minimum wage today still has a cell phone where he or she has access to like everything in the world, and they can get any information they've ever needed or wanted.
Yeah.
And the king in the 1400s or whatever, like, didn't have any of that stuff. He just happens to be the king of that time, and he has it better than anybody else, but he didn't have a cell phone in his pocket.
He also like doesn't have like medicine.
Yeah. And
Exactly. Yeah.
It's in fairness though, like there's been a lot of research done on this topic, and like psychologically people tend to compare themselves and sort of determine their own happiness by looking at equally or similarly positioned people in life. Like, I remember this was pointed out in a college class to me years ago, but like professors would get very catty with each other about, oh, this professor is down the hall from me, makes $5,000 more a year than I do. And they would pay very little mind to what the school administrators were making. And there were, studies done on this, and like, basically the conclusion was like, why, because a big question in political science is like, why aren't there revolutions all the time? Why doesn't the lower class just organize and storm the gates of Bill Gates' mansion? Why don't they literally storm the gates and just say, hey, we'd like half now, please, or else. And like a big reason why is because people compare themselves to other similarly situated people in life, and they view that as the measurement of their happiness. It's like, am I doing better or worse than the people who are right there in the same station of life as me? Not, am I doing better or worse than Bill Gates, or am I doing better or worse than somebody from 100 years ago? Like, it's, you know, it's part of the psychology of people existing.
That's why I don't want to make this a political thing that I'm, you know, left or right or whatever. I would just always thought the Make America Great Again was so silly, because it's like, what are we talking about, the 40s? You know, like when there was like segregation and, you know, like people were mistreated? Are we talking about like the 60s when there was no phones? Like, what era are we talking about?
This goes back to my thing about marketing and slogans and, you know, anyway. All right.
You're trying to trick people into like thinking there's a boogeyman, you know? It's like, I don't know, we've got a pretty good, I don't know that I don't see anyone giving up their phone willingly. Like, nobody's like, yeah, let me go back to the 80s and not have a cell phone. You all have cell phones. Don't lie.
Well, I mean, 100,000 years ago, did we even have clothes?
So, I don't, you know, like, people seem to like the way things are today.
Did we even have language 100,000 years ago? We were just grunting.
And crawling.
And crawling.
Yeah,
Yep. So, sketching things on walls and caves.
I think you think human history is a lot longer than it actually is.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I asked you,
Chris is like
anthropology nerd.
Yeah, we're really knowledgeable about cards.
Yeah, we only know one thing. Okay. The chat's like, this is silly. Yeah, have you been to hour 3 yet? All right.
It's like,
the next comment up on my list is from Mostly 90s Basketball Cards, who has 5 words. We all agree Prism sucks.
Do you wish it was better?
Hey, we're in this glass half full mode today. I'm happy. I like it. I just like Prism. Surprising.
I'm annoyed that the top 2 cards have been pulled already. That annoys me.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. All right. Mostly 90s also says, do Prism rookie card backgrounds look like pinball machines?
So we don't know if Cade Cunningham is it the same photo where he was in the TCU thing?
I don't know.
Like the rookies, they just like removed the background entirely, so they just kind of made it like more of a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like, you know, that's what they've been doing for rookies for years. It's like there is no, it's just a cropped silhouette shot thing.
What's the new animal skin?
I don't know if there is one.
Is there what? There's like tiger and elephant. Like, what's the new one?
Is there a new one?
I'm guessing, but you know, mostly just being a dick.
I mean, that's why there very well could be a new one.
You wouldn't be surprised if there was. That's the point.
No, I would not. I don't know. The cardboard connection checklist is still very limited.
Like raccoon skin?
I don't know.
There were 46 parallels in 2020 Prism. And public service announcement, Christina's still missing 2. So if you see Maxi Kleba, fast break, bronze out of 20 or neon green out of 5, buy it and I will like pay like twice what you pay.
The tree parallel.
How many parallels are in this year, Christina?
I don't know, I haven't checked.
Probably 45 to 50,
Yeah.
I guess. Yep.
Basketball's always more. Football had 23 this year, which is literally half of what basketball was.
All right, Card Sham Card says, what do you take away from the level of excitement or the lack thereof for this year's Prism? I don't know. Do you feel like there's a high level of excitement for it?
I was like, I didn't even realize it came out this week. Don't look into anything I say, because I really don't pay attention to new releases, so it's not good to.
Neither do I. I did, like, there are like nonstop breaks of it going on because I was watching some of those. But I don't know how that compares. But I'll tell you this, like, releasing this product at like a month after when we're in the summer league and like we should be thinking about Chet Holmgren and we should be thinking about Paulo Banchero and like we're thinking about Jalen Green rookies and stuff. Like that's no bueno. All right, Paper Street Sports Card says Happy Prism Day. After the true black 1 of 1, would you rather have a true gold out of 10 or a black shimmer 1 of 1?
Oh, that's a Chris question.
Black shimmer.
Yeah, to me it's quick and easy black shimmer, but I figured that you might say true gold.
I would say the true gold over the true black, so don't,
Okay, all right. All right, well then that's an easy one.
This is like, that's the most stupid thing I've heard of the night.
All right, my other page says, are you chasing the Luka and Jokic Prism Black 1 of 1s? No, not really. But I don't know. You never really know. Like if it's just there, You'll
buy a freaking Steph Curry bubble for whatever fast break, but you won't buy a Jokic. It's just right there.
Dude, this thing's been sitting on my desk for a while.
Did you get a lot of engagement on that post? Did people like that one?
Dude, which card do you think got more likes? This one or this one?
Well, I always got more likes on my Penny Hardaway post than my LeBron ones, so that I'm just going to go with that and say the McCaffrey.
You would be correct.
That's a badass looking card, though. Put that one back up.
D-Mac? Yeah.
That's a badass looking card.
Dude, black finites just look awesome.
I like the finites better. It's like...
Me too.
If you would have asked me the black finite versus the gold, I'd take the black finite.
Yeah, black finites look so awesome. And the only like big time rookie in Prism who has the black finite as a basketball player is Giannis. Because that was the only year, but they called it Mosaic, which really annoys me. But Giannis, let me just pull up a picture of this card because it looks so awesome. But Giannis has a black finite, even though it's called Mosaic.
I mean, dude, here, I'll explain to you this Prism thing really easily. Ready?
Ready.
That black finite McCaffrey would look awesome no matter how much they fucked up the design of that Prism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the black finite in itself just kind of is the design, it's going to look good no matter what.
Yeah, fair.
Like, you like all your black finites, right? Is there one that's like, oh, this black finite sucks?
No, dude, they're awesome. They're absolutely awesome. Okay, and then finally, Mahomie. Oh, okay, now this one is really for you. This one may trigger you. Mahomie Cards says, can someone please tell me why LeBron's Prism Golds sell for more than his Topps Chrome Golds, excluding 2003? Does it
yeah.
Does it really come down to Prism Golds being numbered to 10? Or is it that Prism Simps have surpassed Topps Chrome Simps? Or is it because most new people in the hobby just never have opened Topps Chrome basketball?
Right. Well, let me help Mahomies with the answer. It's not only that it's past it, it's also past it in terms of, like, if you take into account the print numbers. Like, the Prism Golds are, like, relative to an out of 50, and a lot of cases are more than 5x the price. So it actually is a case of, like, the Prism is more popular. It's not just like, oh, there's 50 and 10. Like, some of the Prism, like 2016 Prism PSA 10 sold for like $80K. I'm getting some of these PSA 10 Bowmans and Finest and Chromes for less than, a fifth of that.
And it can't. I don't think it's Prism Simps because I've tried to rig these polls, and
so then explain it to me, guy.
I don't know. I do think like the fact that Prism is a modern product that has new releases drives
I think that's right.
the prices. Yeah, I think that is key to that. And
there's more people actively engaged in the branding of Prism than there are Topps Chrome. People in your polls, they say Topps Chrome in their answer because it's like the cliched thing to do. That's like, oh, the Topps Chrome, but when they actually spend their money, they're more involved in the Prism community.
Do you know how political scientists solve that problem? Because like they would constantly get people. They would ask, "Who are you voting for?" and people would just say what they thought was the correct answer rather than.
Yeah.
Do you know how? Here's how they solve it. They just change the question to, who do you think your neighbor is voting for?
See, I do that tomorrow. Do it.
Who do you think, like how would I phrase that? Like, who do you think? What do you think other people in the hobby like more?
What do you think other collectors like more? Dude, I love that. You're so right. Because even like my mind, like I would say Prism to that question.
All right.
I would like if you put that poll up right now, I would have said Prism, because it's like a lot of us are thinking the same thing, where it's like, I personally, like the branding of Topps Chrome more, but I'm pretty sure other people like Prism more,
Yep. And like on the marketing thing again, like the marketing that like Prism, Flawless, NT, that like the marketing that other releases, other years of that product receive as a byproduct of the new release is like, that's like really natural marketing. Like no one's aiming to use this year of Prism to pump up previous years, but it just like, it actually organically creates interest, which is like the peak of marketing. Like when marketing has the outcome of genuinely making people happier, then it's good. All right.
In the chat, Uncle Rico Rip says UFC Prism sells more than Topps rookies for current superstars, and Topps has made UFC much more recently than because like the example for basketball is a little bit tougher because there hasn't been Topps basketball in so long. But if you have the comparison of UFC where it's been more recent, it's a little bit more strong of an argument to say like the Prism brand might actually be stronger.
Okay. Hometown Authentic says, are vintage cards better than a savings account?
Yeah. Wait, I mean, like, those stupid, like, bullshit, like, 0.1% savings accounts,
Yeah, like, that's the only type you can get, right?
So then, is it better than, like, straight cash? That's your question?
Yeah, basically. Like, I don't know. Tongue-in-cheek question, I have no doubt, but...
Well, that's the person who's like, I really want to spend all my money on cards, but I need a good reason to do so.
Yeah, okay, so maybe that person's sitting there thinking, man, I have 20 grand in my savings account.
Yep. And I really want this Walter Payton. Like, I'm like, you can really, like, you can understand that question, right?
I do not understand that question. I never had money.
No, he can't understand that question because it's never a question to Chris. It's always automatic. I have money, therefore I buy card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's like, money sitting in checking. This is burning a hole in my computer screen.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, but like I think part of me being an absolute lunatic was it was in my first 3 or 4 years, when I was just like absolutely just like needing certain cards and just like just doing crazy things. Now I'm a lot more disciplined because like,
are you?
Yes, I am, because
they're more expensive.
Cards are more expensive, and I have like a collection that I don't feel the anxiety to be like, my collection fucking sucks. Like I still look at my collection and just like it's and then I look at the collection of other people and I'm just like, yeah, my collection does suck. But like, I don't feel the anxiety, I don't feel like the constant pressure and anxiety to be like, my collection is just total trash. Like that pressure is relieved.
That's hilarious. That was, I totally agree.
All right.
My collection does suck. Just don't go to Nat's Flickr.
No,
it's very
don't even go to. Just one page of Nat. You could just pick a random page of like Nat's.
Yeah. It's like, oh look, he has every 24 karat gold ever made. Fuck me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's. Oh man, we're really getting to that. We're getting down to those questions.
Well, are we late enough in the show where you can tell me what happened on Clubhouse?
Yes. So do you know the industry summit does a poll every year, and they have like fucking categories. And so, I've been pretty outspoken in the fact that I'm not a big fan of influencers as a general rule. Not against all of them, but yeah. But
What?
I just don't like influencers. I don't even get it. Why do you want to be an influencer? But and so one of the categories is influencer of the year.
Right. Steve Aoki is the reigning champ.
Steve Aoki is the reigning champ, and so. Someone got the bright idea, I'll write in Chris. And I was like, no, please don't do that. Like, I don't want that. And then all of a sudden now there's lots of people writing in it.
Well, you know that the more you don't want it, the more we want to do it.
Yeah, the one time I'm like authentically serious about anything on Clubhouse. And that's when they're like, all right, we're doing it. Look at this.
I gotta say, I'm on board with everybody in Clubhouse.
It's just gonna. How can I take myself seriously when they influencer of the year?
If you won that, I would have content to laugh at for years.
Well, I'm
writing, like watching you walk up on stage and just like begrudgingly take the award and just like shake your head at everybody.
I'm writing a letter to Ray Schulte. And I'm going to say an email, and I'm going to say there is a scam going on. Do not, under any circumstances, just throw out the votes. And I think that should take care.
And I'm going to email him and say, Chris is just so fucking humble that he just. I think the more humble he is about this, I feel like you just should give it to him straight away. Like, he's so humble about it that he's even more deserving of it.
There will be 10 YouTube videos that say, like, look at this dumb hypocrite. He was speaking out about influencers, and now here he is winning the award. He told everybody to vote for him.
Well, you know what you do? Here, Chris, let me help you out here. I should be your fucking, PR marketing guy for you. Listen, here's what you do. This is just what these guys that win the Emmys do. When they go up on stage, they use it as their platform to start like pushing for like climate change fixes and stuff like that. You get up, you take the award, you win it, you get up there, and you start pushing how influencers are shit.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a great idea. But I would prefer to just avoid the awkwardness of that altogether.
I don't think, like, knowing the people who put on the summit, the industry summit, I don't think they're trying to, like...
They'll know it's a joke. They will not go through this.
Can you stop interrupting me? Thanks. So I don't think that they picked it as... like, influencer of the year as a negative thing. I think they're trying to say, like, hobby personality of the year.
No, of course they don't mean it as a negative thing. Yeah. Some people would fucking love to be the influencer of the year.
Oh, I can name one person right now who would fucking kill himself if he won influencer of the year at the Beckett Summit and he had to like sit there and clap. Yeah.
All right.
I think this is hilarious. I love a good joke. And they don't, everyone would be like, oh, Chris, you're so amazing. All the content you create is so good. Your stats are you're the like oracle of pricing. Oh my god.
No, people would be like, wow, look at this dumb, hypocritical idiot. This guy is full of shit. It would be devastating to my credibility in this hobby.
No, it would make that award seem like the joke that it is, and you would shine a light on the fact that it's a stupid award.
What's the name of that? I think it was a Korean president who was very violent.
No.
Who is it? The guy, he was during Trump's administration.
The guy who killed drug dealers?
Yeah, the guy who killed drug dealers.
I believe that was the Philippines, wasn't
it? There's the Philippines. Right. Hold on. Let me make sure
I do not know where you're going with this one.
Okay. So, Duterte,
See?
President Duterte, he made a reputation for himself of being harsh against drug dealers and, people who did bad things. Well, what if all the drug dealers got together and gave him an award for being the drug dealer of the year?
Yeah.
His credibility would be shot. He would have no ability to speak authoritatively on why drug dealing and things are bad.
That's not true.
And this is the sabotage that's happening to me right now.
Guys, you've stumbled onto a good idea when you've got Chris this flustered. Like, you guys have
Well, I think
stumbled on a gold mine.
Well, I'm writing my email, so.
I'm writing mine.
And Ray Schulte's gonna be like, yeah, he's like, there's no way anybody would have really voted for you. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, Ray. You are.
Well, the influencer, has a lot of meanings. It could mean that you influence people to not be influencers.
you influence people to be authentic and true collectors.
Vote for Hoj. Is that the official? Is that the official
You influence people to use data and information to make their purchases instead of pump and dumps.
Nick is totally on board with me. Nick gets it. It's the perfect platform to bash influencers.
Yeah, that's funny. That's true. There's something to that.
And make influencers great again.
Oh,
Right,
look who's back.
I know, he's back. Dude, he saw the hashtags and he's back.
All right.
If you don't name the episode hashtag vote for HOJ, you've just failed because you've been pretty solid with the names of these episodes lately.
I'll do it.
What was that one you named recently that was really funny? Oh, the stupid NFT. What's that?
Oh, the
Shit beast. Shit beast. It just all it said was shit beast. I was laughing so hard. It was like tons of great content. We've got 3 hours and all you wrote is shit beast. And people are like, wait, shit beast? What?
Yeah, true that. All right. Well,
Throw the link in the description.
it's been 2.5 hours of great content for the people.
Jacob saying throw the link in the description.
Yeah, that means it's time to go.
Clickbait this episode.
Thank you guys for sending great comments. How long until?
Chris secretly loves all this attention, you guys.
Yeah, keep
He's
it coming.
pretending they hate
I've actually
like
this. I'm gonna make a campaign video. I can't do that either, though. I can't. If I do that, then I'm buying in as well.
Yep, you have to keep fighting it. You got to keep fighting it. You have to keep pretending you hate it. That's the only way that this works.
I could turn this on its head if I make a very obvious mockery of it. I think that's the only
I think people will
play.
continue to vote for you.
I'm going to go harder if you do that.
Yeah,
I think that's the only play.
I think Lamine might repost it. and
Lamine
then-
already has been doing this. He took Aoki's picture and put my head over it
That was last
and
year.
had the guy holding the fucking.
How did I not see this?
Last year.
This is like my trolling Achilles heel. I can't win. I can't maneuver out of it.
Yeah, you can't. You're fine.
This is fucking dumb. All right.
You did that last year, right, Christina?
Yes.
Right after it
That was
happened.
last year, right after it was announced.
Because, dude, no matter how much you fight this, you are you're like the antithesis of that award. So much so that it's it is funnier because you're so much against it.
Well,
It's what makes good comedy.
don't make me have to do what I would have to do if I win.
Which is what?
I hope I never have to do it.
Well, come on, tough guy. Let's hear. What's your big? He's gonna stomp up there. Oh no!
I guess everyone's just gonna have to vote for him, so we can see it live.
I guess I'll have fun. See, look, dude. I'm telling you, the more you fight, the more you threaten and say you're gonna do X, Y, Z. It's I want to see that shit.
19 days until the national. Really 18, because we're into Saturday. 16 days until the Bleecker event.
How many days until this award's handed out?
There will be no influencers at the Bleecker event, I don't think.
How does that math make sense when the Bleecker event is Monday and Nationals Wednesday?
Because 16 days until the Bleecker event, 18 days until the
You
national.
said 19.
No.
Well, he said. Then he corrected himself.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She only listens half the time.
Oh, half the time you only say good things.
You guys both influenced me to be a better person. That's all I gotta say.
Nice. That's the good type of influence in there. All right. We will see you guys. Dude, 3 more crossovers until the National.
Isn't it 2 more? 3 more.
No, fuck, you're right, dude. What day is
I think it's 2 more.
2 more?
It's 2 more, bro.
2 more. Oh my God.
That's crazy, bro. It's like you did that picture of the beach today. I was like, oh my God, it's here.
Yeah, that beach looks sick. I had multiple people be like, who photoshopped this?
Really?
Yes. People do.
You're like,
people
no, it's on the
believe
beach.
that Atlantic City is that beautiful.
Dude. Oh, you influence people to really truly be excited about this event.
Well, they should be. Cards and views of the ocean as MK Sports Cards. DM.
All right, see you next week.
See you guys.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.